Bank of England Governor Andrew Bailey says he hopes that the recent fall in the cost of mortgages would continue, and don't we all? Bailey appeared before the Treasury Committee today and facing questions about interest rates ahead of the bank's decision on the 1st of February. Well, joining me now is Liam Halligan, GB News' business and economics editor with On the Money. Liam, Andrew Bailey in a rare positive mood.
Good to be with you, Martin. The Governor of the Bank of England appeared before the Treasury Select Committee, cross-party group of MPs. He was a bit poker-faced, though, as you'd expect from a Governor of the Bank of England. But, let's be completely clear. I'm getting stopped on the street all the time these days by people asking me, Liam, where's interest rates going to go? I've got a mortgage, my kid's got a mortgage. Should they stick? Should they twist? Should they fix? Should they go for a variable rate? What is going to happen with interest rates? Let's have a look at Bank of England interest rates now in this graphic. We can see here that back in 2017, interest rates were ultra low. They went up to about 1%. They then went to just a quarter of 1% during lockdown. And since then, we've had those 14 successive rate rises all the way to where we are now at 5.25%. But look, the vast majority of people, certainly in financial markets, think that the next move in interest rates will be down because inflation's coming down. The question is when. Now, the Bank of England is insisting it's not going to lower interest rates for a long time, certainly not before the summer, probably in the autumn. I'm not buying that whatsoever. I think the Bank of England will lower interest rates in the spring. That's because the Federal Reserve in the US will probably lower interest rates in the spring. And it's not just me that thinks that, it's also the mortgage companies.
Yes.
That's why the mortgage companies now are offering rates that are below the Bank of England base rate, because it thinks over a 5-year period, for as long as you fix, they're offering like about 4%. The average interest rate during that period will be below 4% because it will come down heavily from 5.25% now. Bank of England Governor Andrew Bailey, he told MPs, let me just flesh out that quote that you gave. Obviously, we have had a big change in market interest rates, the mortgage rates that are offered, the rates that the markets charge governments to borrow at. Obviously, we've had a big change in market interest rates, says Andrew Bailey, in the last few months, and so the cost of mortgages is now coming down. He said he wants to see that continue. He thinks that he wants the reduction in mortgage costs to carry on. And so say all of us, because a lot of households now, they've been hammered because they've come off low fixed rate mortgages. They've had to remortgage at much, much higher interest rates. Perhaps there will soon be some relief in sight.
And Liam, I know you've been saying for a long, long time that the high interest rates is just making people sit on their hands. People are being hammered at both ends on their mortgages, on any loans they have, businesses too, of course, at those base rates. And so they're nervous, they're flighty about spending money, investing, even the supermarket. So unlocking the economy, you've maintained for many, many months, interest rates being cut, that's the way out of the gloom.
I think it is the way out of the gloom as long as you don't provoke inflation. And it does look as if inflationary pressures are receding. Prices are still going up, but lower inflation means that they're going up at a lower rate. You've got some people saying that inflation will hit its 2% target sometime over the spring and summer. And I'm increasingly coming to that view as well. Inflation could probably overshoot going below 2%, particularly because those 14 interest rate rises we've had, Martin, they take a long time to have an impact. A lot of that monetary tightening is still in the tank. That's why I think it's absolutely absurd that 3 members of the 9 economists on the Monetary Policy Committee, just before Christmas, they were still voting to raise interest rates.
It's crazy.
I mean, I don't know if these people understand the most basic aspects of economics. And I say that with some regret. Look, I do think interest rates are going to come down soon. That is my base case. But there is a kind of blot on the landscape, if you like. And again, you and me have talked about it, and I maintain it. I'm talking about geopolitical whiz-bangs.
No, it's the Red Sea.
If we get big conflict in the Middle East, if we get big escalation in Russia-Ukraine, these are energy centres. This will really roil financial markets. Energy prices could shoot up again. Inflation could shoot up again. And then when it comes to interest rates, all bets are off. But my base case is that rates are coming down, relief in the pipeline for households with variable rate mortgages.
And the relief in the pipeline, Liam, politically, We talked earlier about Rwanda. The longer the election is called, more chance of flights taken off. The later the election, more chance of these green shoots coming through and maybe convincing voters the Tories know what they're doing with the economy.
Well, again, I've been writing in my Telegraph column for at least 3 months that the Tories would play the long game when it comes to the election, because they want the benefits of these lower interest rates, better consumer confidence. We are starting to see signs of that now amidst the gloom, to try and impact and to try and generate even the most feeble of feel-good factors by the time of the summer and the autumn. They won't want to wait too far beyond September, October. No one wants an election in the run-up to Christmas, certainly not an election in early 2025, and Sunak has actually all but ruled that out. So I'm thinking increasingly it's going to be a September or an October election, one side or the other of the Conservative Party conference this autumn, if indeed there is a Conservative Party conference. They may yet end up cancelling it. You heard it here first.
Well, that's another big line there, Liam. Always on the money. Liam Halligan, superb stuff. As ever, great to have you in the studio. Thanks for joining us.